Hi again. Just one or two things still we have to cover before we get into the real meat and gravy. And this lesson is about basic computer skills. We've talked about some things that you need to have in order to start an online business. So now we're going to talk about some things you need to know. So why learn to use a computer? Well, it's going to open up a world of information. It's going to make it easy for you to access government and other information from organizations. It's easy to connect with your family and friends, and it's great to have fun. And most importantly, while you're here, or why you're here, is to make money. Like I said back in lesson 3, you don't need to be a computer expert to be an internet marketer. If you did, I certainly wouldn't be here teaching this stuff. But you do need to have some very basic skills. It is, after all, an online business, and your computer is your basic tool in this business that you're creating. When I started back in the mid-1990s, I literally didn't know how to turn on a computer, and some would say I've not progressed much in the past 20 years. However, I have learned what I need to know to generate a very comfortable income. And that is the simple basics that I'm going to cover here. Now, if you have a greater knowledge than are covered in this simple basics, that's fine, it may well help you. But I've managed to get along fine with just basic skills, and even now simply outsource anything that goes beyond this. So whether you're an expert or a novice, it makes little difference as long as you can do the following things. And like driving, once learned, these things become second nature, and you'll perform them without thinking. They are simple skills used every day in your business, and will be applied in many of the lessons that follow. Most of the things I'm not going to go into in great detail here, because I've got some links below the video where you can find more comprehensive training. But I will demonstrate a few things, so let's get started. I'm going to be using a PC for any demonstrations I do, and probably throughout this course, and that operates on Windows 8, I think it is, but the principles will be the same no matter what operating system your computer has, whether it's Windows 7 or XP or whatever they called it, or whether you've got a Mac. You may just need to modify the techniques slightly to suit what you have. So what do you need to know? Well, first of all, you need to know about how to do the simple things that I couldn't do when I started, and that's turning your computer on and off. It's pretty basic, and it should be covered in your operating manual if you got one. A lot of computers don't even come with them nowadays. They just expect you to know these things. But in addition to just a simple on-off switch, there are the options to reboot your computer, and you'll need to do that sometimes, particularly if you're doing a lot of multitasking, as your computer will get slowed down and it may even freeze up. This computer I've got, it's about 2.5 years old now, I suppose, which is pretty dated in terms of technology. But it's not really that old, and if I've got a lot of stuff open, I find it'll freeze up, and you just have to shut your computer down and leave it a few seconds and start it again, and it just seems to clear everything up. So that's what's called rebooting your computer. So that is something. Now, mouse skills are important, and I know a lot of people that just manage to get by don't really understand these mouse skills. There's a left click, a right click, and there's a double click. So learn what these terms are and what they do. But in short, a right click will bring up a menu for you. So if you right click on something, it'll give you a menu, a list of options that you can then select. A left click performs an action, and a double click is a shortcut to selecting an action and performing it. Using Windows or whatever operating system you have is something that you'll need to learn, and they all differ a little bit, and they keep updating them and changing them. So depending on how old your system is or how new it is, you'll have something that looks a little bit different than what I'm going to show you. but with just applying a little bit of common sense to things, you'll soon work out the differences. Navigating your computer. This is really just about being able to find on your computer the things that you need to find, and that'll vary a little bit, but I'm going to give you a demonstration on my computer. First of all, you probably have what's known as a desktop that looks something similar to this, with lots of different icons on it, and whichever icon you click on, it'll open something different for you. You can also, there'll be a little key with a Windows symbol on it on your computer, and if you click on that, that'll bring you to a start page. That will differ depending on the system you have. If you've got Windows 8 point whatever and up, it'll look something like this, and whatever you click on here, once again, will open up for you. So whether it's a browser or a calculator, the calculator will just open up for you. Okay? Also, you can use this little symbol down here. That does the same sort of thing, and it alternates between the desktop and your start menu. And here, this is folders, and we'll go into these a little bit more in a moment. But folders are where you store things, if you like. This is like your filing cabinet with different drawers in it. On Windows 8 or above, if you take your cursor to the right of the screen, you'll get little things like this that come up. And once again, this is another way to get to your start panel, to get to your computer settings, and to get to your search. And if you click on search, it'll just bring up a little box. You find something very similar on earlier versions of Windows by right-clicking on the Windows symbol in the bottom left corner. But if you type in here something like my computer and this PC, then you get something like this that opens up, and this will show you what files you've got. And this shows I've got an E drive, which is for DVDs and things, C drive, and how much space I've got left. I've got 1.56 terabytes, I think they're called, free, so I've got loads of space here. There's a recovery portion that's taken out of your disk usually. You can get to your desktop, your documents, your downloads, videos, pictures, music, and you can also see here different things that you can access. So this is a very handy screen because it'll take you anywhere you want to go. If you're looking for a particular file, you can click on Documents and it'll bring up Documents, and then you can perhaps click on one of these. And these, as I say, they're all like files in your drawers in a filing cabinet, and you can look for the file that you want to find, whatever it may be. A series of videos, and you can open them up, whatever. So that's one way of navigating around your computer. Next, working with Windows. And when we're talking about here, we're not talking about the operating system Windows, but we're talking about the screens that come up on your computer. They're known as different windows. And if we look at the file that we were looking at previously, this is what's known as a window, and you can minimize it, and that'll take it down out of play and into the bottom of your computer onto I'm not sure what it's called, taskbar I think it's called. You can maximize it. If you click on this, that'll make it really big, and if you click on that same symbol again, or it's changed slightly, it'll bring it back down. So if you click on there, it goes up to full screen, and you wouldn't have seen much because it just showed this bit in the view that we were looking at. And if you click on the cross, that closes that window, and all the things that you have on your computer open up in what are known as windows, and you can move them around. You can grab the taskbar and you can slide them up or down or to the side. Sometimes it's very useful if you're using a couple of different programs to make them smaller. You can take this and you can slide it across here so that it's pretty small, and then you move it up here, and then maybe we want this one here. We're going to make that smaller as well, and we do that the same way. We just slide it in. We can slide it in, and then if we move that over here, that gives us the ability to see two windows at the same time. And so if you're working, you can be copying and pasting from one to the other, and we'll cover copying and pasting in a moment. But that's how you can work with windows. You can close them, minimize them, maximize them, resize them, and move them about. And you can have more than one window visible at the same time, or you can just have your screen full of one particular window and then keep switching between different windows. Multitasking with multiple programs and windows open. Really, I showed you this before, where I had two programs open side by side, but you can have many different programs open in your taskbar. And if I just slide this down, you'll see I've got various things here in my taskbar, and whichever one I click on comes up with whatever it is. It's really as simple as that. Okay, and that's what was known as multitasking. Creating folders. Let's open a folder up again. This one, and we'll resize it a little bit. If you want to create a new folder, you can either right click here and it'll come up with the option new, and you can then look at this and go new folder, and it comes up there, and the folder is empty because we've got nothing in it. And if you want to get back, you can just go up one, and there you go. So that's all about creating a new folder. Changing your folder view. Let's go back again to that folder. Here you can click on view, and you can get extra large icons, medium sized icons. You can do it as a list. You can do it with details, small icons and large icons. Details is very useful. Let's go to details, because it tells you information about things, and sometimes you'll have long names in here, and you can resize that so that you see the full name, and it'll tell you all sorts of things about it when it was last edited, I think this is. And you can sort by date or type or size or length, and it all helps you find things. Or you can sort by the name, and that'll be alphabetic. So that's all about how to change the view. Naming and renaming files. Once again, let's go back here. We had this income folder. Let's change the view back to medium-sized icons. In fact, let's make them a bit bigger. They were a bit bigger than that, I think. Large icons. There we go. Once again, here, if you click on this just here, sort of two slow clicks, not a double click, but two slow clicks, it highlights that, and then you can change it to anything you want. And you come off it, and that folder is now called demo. Another way of doing it, once again, is a right click. And if you right click and you scroll down, you'll get an option for rename. And once again, it'll highlight that, and you can change it to anything you want. And once you come off there, there it is, renamed. And you can change anything in the same way. I don't want to change any of these, but you see, we could change this. One thing to watch when you're changing things, if they've got an extension like this, you want to leave that extension the same as it is, because if you take that out or change it, it may affect the way that the file works. And an extension is what comes at the end after a dot. So this is an MP4 file. That means it's a video file, a type of video file. If you take that away, In fact, I'll show you. If you take that away, you'll get a thing here saying, are you sure you want to change that? And if you do, it won't know what it is in the same way. So let's put it back. .mp4, and there we go, and it comes back, and you can see it. So that's all about changing and renaming files. Dragging and dropping. Let's just show you this again. This can be done in all sorts of different ways, but here we go. Suppose we've got this folder and it's empty at the moment, as you see. We go back up. Suppose we wanted to put these in that folder. We should be able to. It's opened it because I stayed on it too long. It was going to start playing it. There we go. We can just left click, held down. You don't just click, you hold it down, and it gives you the ability to drop it or drag it. And if you do that, it drops it into this folder. I'll show you again. You hold it down, and you just, once you release it, boom. And then if you look in here, you see that that's where they are. Okay? So that's dragging and dropping, and you can do it from folder to folder, and it's a very useful tool. And next, what have we got next? Copying and moving files and folders. Okay, let's go back here again. Let's suppose we want to take this and we want to copy it. We can right click on it and select copy or cut. Now the difference between copy and cut is, if we take copy, it'll leave the file where it is, but it'll copy it and then you can paste it somewhere else. If you do cut, you'll see what happens. It means that I've got this held on my clipboard, what they call a clipboard, and then if I want to put it back in here, I paste it here, and it's back in here, and it will have removed it from here. Okay, you see it's gone from there. If we right click and we use the copy instead of the cut, and then we go and paste it here, it's taking a while to paste it, but it will in about 15 seconds, it says, have completed pasting, and you will see that the copy still remains. So what we've done is we've got two files now with the same information. One here, where it was originally, and one here. Okay? So that's copying and pasting. There are some keyboard shortcuts that are useful for this, because sometimes in some browsers you may want to copy and paste, and they won't, you'll get a message saying your browser won't accept this short, isn't allowed to do this, or something like that. I can't remember what it says. So what you can do is you can select this, and then you can use the control key on your keyboard, control and C, and that copies it onto your dashboard in the same way that you would have right clicked and copy. But if you right click and copy won't work, you can always go like that and control C. Another, if you wanted to cut it, you use control X, and you'll see there that this has gone grey, and if we paste it as we did before, it'll probably ask me if I want to do this, because we've got one in there with the same. Yeah, it says we've already got a file name there because we already copied and pasted it, but yeah, we'll replace it. So there we go, and we should find now, there you go, that folder is empty because it cut it. So that's control X for cut, control C for copy. And if you can't paste, if we go back up here and we grab this again and we do a Control C, so we've got it copied, and we go to this folder now, and if we couldn't paste, if it came up with an error, we can do a Control V, and that will then paste that file for us. So Control C is copy, Control X is cut, and Control V is paste. And you'll find that those are probably the most useful shortcuts you will use. They're about the only ones I know of, I think. But there are lots and lots of different shortcuts. And there you see, it's pasted it here. So we've got it here and we've got it in there as well. So that's copying and pasting. Just to go over that copying and pasting again, you can also do it in text files. You know, you can copy and you might want it to paste it there. So you can use it in all sorts of different ways. You just highlight what it is you want to copy and paste it. Zipping and unzipping files. I mentioned this in the last lesson, and I talked about the need for this because we have files that are large, and if we want to upload them or download them, we'll find that we're often given files that are in a zip format. And there are free programs for this. I use 7-zip, which is a free one, and I gave you a link for that in the last program. But let's suppose we wanted to bundle these up. So we wanted to take these two, bundle them together to send them somewhere. We want that. And if you want to select 2 items, if you hold the Control key down, that'll select 2 items, or 3 items, or 4 items. Each item you click on will be the same. If you just click on it without the Control key, it just selects the one. And if you want to select a group of items, you can select one, and then if you use the Shift key, that's the one you'd normally use for going to capitals instead of, and you click on the last one that you want. If you wanted these 4, and you use the Shift key and click, and it selects all within that group. Okay, now if we wanted to make these into a zip folder, put them in a zip folder, if we do that and click Send To, and then we go across here, you'll see it has compressed zipped folder, and if we click on that, it is now zipping those files. And I probably should have selected something smaller because it might take a while to compress those because they're videos. So we'll cancel that, and I'll find something smaller to do. Let's take this and this. We want those 2, and we're going to zip those. So we send to compressed folder. And you'll see here it's done it very quickly for that. And then we could rename that. Rename. What should we call that? We'll call that we don't want the caps in there. We call that 1 silver. Okay, so that's how you zip. And if you want to unzip a file, if you've got a file, somebody sent you a file and it's a zip file, then you can right click on it and you can either extract here, but what I like to do is I like to use this open with 7-zip file manager, and it opens it there, and then you can leave it in the zip format and you can just use these as you want. Just open them up in a normal way. If you actually wanted to put these into a different folder, you could just copy and paste them there. So that's it. That's how you use zip files. Have a play with them. Installing a software program. I'm not going to go into this here because most software that you get will pretty much self-install. You might have to download a file. It may come in a zip folder. And in fact, let me just see if we've got downloads. You will probably find some that are what are called exe files. There's one. And this is for installing Chrome browser. And if you click on that, and it would go through an installation program. And usually those are all tied into your operating system, and you'll get a series of screens that'll run you through installing the program. So I'm not going to take that any further. Opening a program. Opening a program, pretty simple. If you click on your start menu, you can just open a program. Let's suppose I wanted to open Excel. Just click on it, and lo and behold, it opens up. And then you can start working with it. So once you locate the program, all you need to do is click on it. Usually you'll find them on your desktop. If not, you can always do a search for it using your search facilities on your computer. Copying and pasting text. I covered this actually. Very simple. And I say, you just select what you want to copy. So that's a left click, and then you run your mouse over the text that you want. And then once again, you can right click, copy, and right click, paste, and that does that for you. So that's with text. You can do that in your word processing folders, or this is in what's it called, PowerPoint, and we're going to cover that in a moment as well, briefly. Editing and saving files and documents. I think we've covered this pretty much as well, but if we have Microsoft Word, you may have a different word processing program, and you just put into Word whatever it is you want, and then you save it. You can save here. That'll save, and it'll come up with a little screen if it's the first time you save it, and you can save it anywhere you want. You pick the drawer of your filing cabinet that you want, if you like, which is your folder. We've got one called trainings and example doc, and we click on save, and that is now saved in that folder. Editing and saving documents. We've done a little bit of work on this. I've shown you a little bit. If I slide this down, you'll see that there are various ways of doing this. If you've got, this could be a word processor or whatever. As you can see, this is in Microsoft PowerPoint. You can just click on this, and if it's been saved before, it'll just automatically save it. If it was the first time, it would come up with a screen, very much the same as if we click here. You've got two options: save, which is the same as clicking there, or save as. And if we click a save as, this is the same as the screen you would get if you'd not saved your information before. It allows you to find where you want to save things, maybe on your desktop, and then you can simply save. If you have a document open and you want to save it as something else because you want to keep what you have already, you want to keep that intact and not change it, but you want to make some changes to it to send on to somebody else, or to do some additional work, or something like that, then you can keep the original as it was saved, and then you can save this as something different here, 9A, and we'll save that to the desktop, and that now is saved, and you can see it's now saved as lesson 9A. So that is how you can edit and save documents. And if we go back up here, and we get that back where it was, and then we go save versus save as. We've just covered that. using a web browser to navigate the internet. I'm not sure that really this needs a demonstration. If we just pick a browser, this is in fact Google Chrome browser. I usually use different ones. I have different ones open at this time. I've got Chrome and Internet Explorer and Firefox all open at the moment. And you'll see this is just my spam folder in Google Mail. And really all you need to know how to do is to take a blank page and search for something. Put in no, let's put in one of my websites, and you just type in what you want there and the site will come up. It doesn't matter what you type in there as long as it is a valid URL. If it's not a valid URL, if we had Sorpal, for example, then you would get an error message, I imagine. I don't think there'll be anybody that has a website called sorpal.com. Okay, we could not find Sorpal. So that's pretty self-evident. Shouldn't need more description. But what I will say is that Google Chrome is probably your fastest option at the moment. If you're using a PC anyway, Google Chrome. Firefox is pretty good, but I found it difficult to edit WordPress in Firefox. It seems to freeze up and be pretty slow. Internet Explorer has its ups and downs, but it's not usually too bad for editing things. It's not very fast, and it can get frozen up if you've got a few browser windows open, a few tabs open in your browser. So you pick your own, whether it's Safari, Opera, whatever it is you're using. It's handy though to use more than one and get used to using 2 or 3 and get used to them. They differ slightly in the way that they operate, but you can always save pages, bookmark them, do searches and this sort of thing. So just get used to the one that you have. Googling and other online research. Googling is a term that's come about because of the search engine Google. And if we go back to Chrome here, there you go, you can see I've got a lot of tabs open here. But if you click on a new tab, you can set them up for whatever you want. The new tab. I have mine set to Google because I quite often search for things. You might want to search for something that I like, World Cup Rugby. Okay, Rugby World Cup shop. Official Rugby World Cup shop. So let's see what they're selling. Okay, and there you go. And you can search for all sorts of things. You might be wanting hot news if you're in the niche of weight loss or something like that. Hot news in weight loss. You may want, okay, medical weight loss programs. You can always take information from these and you can put them in your blog. You may be wanting images. You click on there and it'll give images of different things for weight loss. You may be wanting videos and it'll bring up videos. Chili peppers may fire up weight loss. Kelly Brook strips off to reveal weight loss. We had the news, I think, before. Kelly Brook. Weight loss shopping. Okay. Videos, books. Books, weight loss books, all these things. So it's easy to search and you can search for almost anything online doing just that. So that's Googling. Sending and receiving email, I'm not going to go into, because if you don't know how to send and receive email, well, you need to find out, but I think most of you will know how to do that. There are different options. You can do it through web-based services. You can do it through things like Outlook. I use Outlook. You'll see all the junk that's in there, and then you can delete all the junk. I get literally thousands of spam emails every day. So you can use different operations for that. Pretty basic. If you don't know, there'll be links at the bottom which will teach you how to do that. Opening a PDF file with Adobe Reader. This is pretty essential because a lot of the information that you get will be in the form of PDF files, because they're a standard way of transmitting information that keeps it looking the same. If you just send stuff in a browser, it depends on the browser how the person reading the information will see it. But if you send a PDF file, it'll display in the way that you intended it originally, and so you get a lot of ebooks and things like that in PDF files. At the moment we're just going to talk about how to open them. What you need is Adobe Reader, and if you haven't got that, most computers will have that installed already, but if you haven't got that installed on your computer, if you just do a search for Adobe Reader in Google, you will get a download for it. And then when you have a PDF file, and I'm just going to slide this over, see I'm showing my desktop as well now. Once you've got Adobe Reader installed on your computer and you click on the file that you have, it could be located anywhere, and then you get the instructions or whatever it is that's located in the file, and it comes up for you. We slide that over, and this is a PDF file, and you can display the pages so that you can jump from page to page, but it always displays in exactly the same way as it was intended to display as a PDF file, and that's why it's so useful. Okay, and this, I've never used this, but this is the user manual that came with the computer I'm on at the moment, because apparently it can be used as a TV as well, but I don't know. I've never bothered to read this because I don't watch TV. Very, very seldom. I don't have time for television. So there we go. That is, let's slide this back over and we move it up a bit. There we go. So that's about PDF files. Using productivity software such as Word and Excel or OpenOffice. There's another one, there's WPS as well, which I've got a link for down below. OpenOffice and WPS are free. Word and Excel are part of Microsoft Office and can be fairly expensive, but they are the industry standards and you might find that you want to use those. I'm not going to go into how you use a word processor and a spreadsheet, because literally there could be, you could do a week's training on them, and I couldn't give a week's training on them. I don't know enough. I know enough to use Word to write a letter, to write a document and then save it, and I use spreadsheets, Excel. I know the basics of that, but if you don't know, then you need to know how to use a word processor and how to use a spreadsheet. And in OpenOffice I can't remember what they're called, and I can't remember what they're called in WPS either, but they all do the same thing, and so you can use any of those that you choose. Also, if there is something that you don't know how to do and it's not covered enough here or in there are a couple of sites down below that teach a lot of stuff. YouTube is a wonderful resource for learning how to do almost anything. In fact, let's just show you. So here we are back in my browser, and if we go to YouTube, and that will bring up the site. Now then, you can search here for how to do anything, how to, and you can see there's a lot of stuff, how to tie a tie, how to make a baby in bed, how to draw, how to hack Wi-Fi passwords, how to get a six-pack in 3 minutes, how to make you can put in virtually anything, how to, I know nothing about fishing, but how to tie fish flies, let's see. And we search, and here we go. How to tie ice fishing flies. Fly tying demo on Fishing Fly Fair or whatever. Something there, you know. Fly tying fundamentals. How to play guitar. Don't want flies, do we? How to play guitar for beginners. Okay. Lots of guitar lessons. How to send an email if you don't know. How to send email to someone. Tutorials. See? And these are little gems. YouTube is a terrific place to learn how to do anything. How to fix a clock sync. Search. There you go. Anything that you want to know how to do, you'll find it on YouTube. And what does this mean? It also means that if you know how to do things that people may be interested in finding out how they're done, you can record a little video and put it on YouTube, and you will probably get quite a lot of views. You'll see that how to fix a slow draining bathroom sink. It's had 415,000, nearly 416,000 views. Clogged drains, over 66,000. Block sink here, over 120,000. Clogged sink, 150,000. And if you're getting a lot of views, you can always add a link, like this place has got a link on this one. This one doesn't seem to have a link. So, but you can add your link to your website or whatever, and it's just extra exposure. So it's not only a good place to go and find out about things, it's a great place to go to also add little videos about anything you know. So what are your action steps with this lesson? Okay, they're just to go through the list and to make sure you know how to do all these things that we've been through, and if you don't, then learn. And sorry if I've not been too coherent on some of them, but hopefully they've helped you. And in the next lesson I'll be going on about the jargon used. So I'll be going through common terms and explaining them, so that you don't get flummoxed simply because somebody uses a term you're not familiar with. Because there's a chance that you know how to do something or what it's about, but somebody might come up with a term that's used on the internet and you won't understand what it is, and you'll think, oh, well, how do I do this? I don't know. Oh, you know, and you start panicking. I've been there. So I'm going to go through the internet terms that are used commonly, so that you don't fall foul of this sort of thing. And we'll just change that I while I'm here to a capital. See how to edit files and then save it. Okay, so that's your assignment for this lesson. And as I said, I'll be going through jargon in the next lesson, so I'll see you then. God bless Graham. And the sooner we get through all these, we can get into the making mummy. And that's, I know, where you want to be, but we need to get the foundations in place first. God bless. Thanks for being here.